Hello and welcome back to The Goodness Margin, the place where we find margin for the good things in life. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you some garage organizational tips. Now, our garage has been a place that I definitely did not want to feature on Instagram. Thankfully, I can park my car in the garage, but the left side definitely had a lot of things happening. And so finally, we decided we were going to go ahead and tackle the clutter and take care of it. I have waited a little bit to share this with you because I wanted it to be absolutely perfect and everything to be finished, but we still have a few things that we're working on, which is okay. Perfection is not the end result. It's not the end goal. Progress is, and we have made huge progress in our garage. And one of the final things that we want to do is we want to finish the floor. The floor was painted previously and it definitely looks pretty rough. However, that's one of those things that in order to do the epoxy and all of that, it's going to take about a week, and we just haven't been able to schedule that yet. But I didn't want to wait on this. I want to go ahead and share with you the garage organization tips that really helped us to have our garage look so much better. Now, when I open that garage and I drive in, I don't have that feeling of overwhelm or, oh, I just hate looking at it. Now it is so much neater and so much nicer to look at. So the first tip is to get rid of anything that you don't use. Somehow our garage ends up being this place. I know for myself that, okay, I don't want this in the house. Maybe I'm not quite getting rid of it yet, and I'll just sit it in the garage and it just ends up living there. And I know that I'm not the only one that this happens. Or you're taking something out of your car and you just sit it in the garage rather than taking it back into the house. So just go ahead and get rid of anything that doesn't belong in the garage. Donate it, throw it away, whatever you need to do, but let it go. Tip number 2 is don't store anything in the garage that doesn't need to live in the garage. If it's something that can be stored elsewhere, absolutely do that. Now, you may have a massive garage that has a lot of extra storage, and if you have designated that storage for something else, fantastic. However, most of you are probably like myself. We have a 2-car garage, although it's called a 2-car garage with the way that our vehicles are oversized these days. There's no way we could fit my car and my husband's truck in our garage. So we do have to utilize part of it for storage because it's the only place that we have to keep things that need to be outside. But if it's something that can be kept inside, such as our Christmas decorations are kept in the attic, we have tried to just keep things in the garage that have to live there. Tip number 3 is get as much off the floor as you can. There are so many different things that you can purchase that are made for all of those tools and lawn equipment and all of those things that can hang on the wall. We have one wall that is completely full now. It has multiple storage units on it where we have as much as possible hanging on the wall. I will link in the blog post below a few of the things that we personally have purchased and that we think work really well, but get stuff off the floor. If at all possible, don't have anything on the floor, have things hanging on the wall. The 4th tip is paint. What about paint? So many times in our garage, we have paint because that's the place that you're going to keep those things. We had a lot of different paint cans. So we went through and saw some of them just had a very small amount in the bottom, which means they're rapidly drying out. Even if you have that lid on it, it's not going to be usable. So we're going to go ahead and toss those. But any paint cans that we did decide to keep, we did a couple of things. First of all, I used a Sharpie marker and I wrote on the top of the lid where that paint color was utilized. Was this used in the bathroom? Was this used in the dining room? Where was this used? And the next thing I did is I took a photo of that. We typically use Home Depot to get our paint, and they will have codes on there. They also have barcodes and numbers. And so if I ever need to reorder that paint, this is exactly what I need. So I took a picture of that and I have a file in Evernote where I save all of those photos, and I also type out for my bathroom. I use Behr, Semi-Gloss, whatever the name of it is, and then whatever that code is behind that color number. And that way, whenever I need to reorder that paint, if we need to touch up in 5 or 10 years, I can absolutely go back and find that paint color. So I know that this is something that many of us keep in the garage. Be sure that you know what paint you're keeping in the garage. And also, it's not a can that is practically empty. If it's empty, go ahead and throw that away. Number 5 is sort of another category. It's projects. Many times in our garage, we have those projects. They're things that I think I'm going to get this done. I want to do this. And so they're hanging out in the garage. If it's something that needs to stay outside and it's a project that you know you're going to finish, absolutely keep the stuff, but give yourself a deadline. If I don't complete this project by this date, then I'm going to go ahead and donate this stuff. Let somebody else complete this project or give it away. I had a bunch of craft supplies one time. Those weren't kept in the garage. They were kept somewhere else. This is an example of a project. And I realized I had not used those craft supplies in over a year, and I had no intention of using them in the future. And so I knew someone that they really loved crafts and they were going to be excited about using them, and I passed them on to them. It was a joyous thing to pass that on and also to rid myself of the pressure of having those supplies hanging out saying, why are you not using me? Go ahead and let that project go. If you're not getting it done, it's okay, but give yourself that room in your garage. Don't let it hang out there. Tip number 6 is to sell or donate things immediately. There were several things that my husband and I realized were pretty decent products that we no longer needed. There were some lights that we had taken down in our house and replaced. There was nothing wrong with the lights. It's just the aesthetic didn't go with what that we wanted in our house. And so these old lights are living in our garage. So we posted them online. Some of them sold, some of them didn't. We give ourselves a deadline. If they don't sell within 30 days, then we're going to cut our losses and go ahead and donate those items. In fact, there's a few that are probably right at the 30-day mark right now. I need to go ahead, load them in the back of my car, and take those to our local donation site. So give yourself a deadline. If you're going to sell the item, fantastic. Post it, but give yourself a deadline that I have to sell it by this date or I'm just going to let it go. If you're going to donate the item, go ahead, load up your vehicle right then and take a load over to donate it. Get that stuff out of your garage quickly. And the last tip is one that was so important for us. Make things easy to access. If this is something that you're going to need to get to, make it easy to get to. That was actually our problem in the garage. My husband has a kayak and he loves this kayak. It's really important to him. And so the only place that it can go right now is our garage. It's a really, really long kayak. It's almost the length of the inside of our garage. And on the other side of it was his workbench that had all of the tools and all of those things. So let's say I needed a certain screwdriver. I'm going to shimmy my way around the kayak and get that screwdriver. Well, when I'm done with it, do you think I'm going to do all the maneuvering going under or around or whatever I need to do to get back to put that right where it would go? Absolutely not. No one was doing that. And so what we were ending up is with screwdrivers sitting on the kayak or sitting on the lawnmower, definitely not going back into that very organized fashion on the pegboard that my husband had created. So we completely reconfigured our garage and made it where that the places, the tools, those are things that we get to pretty regularly. Now we just walk right up and we get right to those. So you can get them easily and then also put them back easily. I know that our garages can be really cluttered easily because of all the things we keep in them, but it's really important for us to stop and think, is this something that I have to keep? Is this something that I have to store in my garage? Because you want to make it easy for you to access the stuff that's there. Otherwise, it's definitely not going to stay organized. And I'm completely speaking from experience because our garage was a hot mess. Thankfully, about a month ago, we finally took control of it and reorganized it, and it is delightful to drive in there now. One day, we may live in a different house where that we have a completely separate storage building, and the only thing that we have to keep in our garage is our vehicles. But right now, we're making this house work for us in this season, and we need to store some things inside of our garage. So hopefully these tips will help you if you, like myself, have to use your garage for some storage, but you also want to be able to park your car in your garage. So good luck with organizing your garage. I am thankful to live somewhere that I can pull into the garage away from the ice, the rain, the snow that's only once a year, so I can't really count that. I remember for years we lived in apartments, and I have a very specific memory of holding my son under a lot of blankets while I was scraping ice just to be able to get into my vehicle. So I'm definitely not going to take my garage for granted. I am extremely grateful for it, but I want to be able to keep parking in it and I want it to stay organized. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell, and you'll be notified when the next video goes live.